let's get back to analyzing and talking about what the president said today. We will get from a national chairman of views from the national chairman of the ANN, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel, who joins us now in the studio. Get the opposition view on what the president said they will do and what he said today, the kind of New Year message you are receiving from President Muhammadu Buhari. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Thank you for having me.
Is that a kind of message that you expected from the president of Nigeria that you heard today?
I think that message is with mixed reactions from what he said. You mentioned earlier, as we're speaking to His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State, the issue that concerned the 2023 position. And I think that any right-thinking person at this point in time, you know what the Constitution says, you know what the rule of law is. It's not something for you to respond to in the first place. The fact that you think you're responding to it in itself it just tells us that there's something that is cooking.
Whether or not he's going to stand down in 2023.
Yes, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's something the president should come out and start.
For you, it's not reassuring.
It's not reassuring. In the first place, why are we having this kind of rumors? Every time we've had rumors like this, it's never been rumors without any smoke.
So
it's always been
during the Obasanjo period. It came as a rumor, isn't it?
Yes, it did, and it was authentic, and so there must be a disconnect between him being the president and the political party or whoever it is that is trying to push this agenda. But for you to come out and begin to tell the Nigerian citizen that you're not, it's a no-brainer. You know, you only serve 2 terms. So it's not something that if it is not real, it's not real. You deal with it.
Should it have come as a New Year message?
At all. At all. I mean, there are other matters that we're dealing with in Nigeria. There are killings that are taking place. There's insecurity issues that we should be talking about. That's not, for me, that's not a serious matter that Nigeria.
It came with a rider, though, Mr. Daniel. He did say that, look, part of what the fact that I'm going to stand down in 2023, I'm not going to run for future elections, but I will help to strengthen the electoral process. Is that an acceptance that there is a problem with the electoral process, or just saying that I will make it better than how I met it?
I mean, we have to give it to the president. His body language is very clear about the way he expresses things. So for him to have said that, everybody knows that the electoral system has a problem. We all know that there's a problem, you know, and this is where I have an issue. If you're saying that you want to strengthen that, you know, after 2023 or before 2023, I would have thought that from the moment you became the president, that should be the focus. But we've held 2 elections, an election after you. The last 2019 election, would anyone say that election was truly an election of self?
Is it to blame that, I mean, because he's the president, and that election, you as an opposition party does not think that it was right? Can you put the blame on the sitting president?
Of course, it's the commander-in-chief. He's the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And to the way that the center has power, you know, it controls everything that is there. It influences everything that is there. For me, I believe that a body language for any president, any leader in Nigeria must be a body language that says that I will subject myself to the constitution of this nation. And once you do so, it means that it is neither for tribe or religion, whatever it is, you are focused on making sure that you carry out your duties. And I don't think that we've seen the rule of law at work. Anyone who says the rule of law has been when I hear His Excellency talking about rule of law, I think Nigerians have a way of defining things. They have 2 definitions of it. When he says rule of law, for some time it works for them in a way and it doesn't work for them. But I think it's clear, anyone who lives in this country should understand that this nation is a lawless nation. And I don't see how the rule of law is. So I don't
under
see
the Buhari government.
Under this government, it's a lawless nation. Yes, it is.
Are you saying that it's being perpetrated by the Buhari government?
Yes, it is. But we've seen. It's very obvious that the things we've seen. There's so many things that have happened under this government that we haven't seen in time. The excesses is unbelievable.
Do you think the action of the Attorney General of the government releasing on bail, that's Mr. Sambo Dasuki and Mr. Omoyele Sowore on bail, what message do you think those portray?
Again, we also need to look at the technicalities of that, because there was a court order. Have they responded to that court order, or was that what the Attorney General itself gave? They're 2 different things. It's a different issue that we're going to be looking at. So someone says that it was at the mercy of the president to do so. No. They will say, that's why we say it's the rule of law. Follow the process.
I mean, are you wondering perhaps the message that we saw from the president looks like there might be a change in the firmament in 2020 in terms of the approach to governance?
Obviously, I mean, it's been growing from the very moment we're seeing a strong message. But I think that whatever the intent he has, something is wrong with the way they're implementing that intention.
Let me show you some of these things that the president said he's going to do. Politically speaking, he made some promises in terms of governance and deliverables. These are some of the things that he said he would deliver in 2020. Take a look at some of them. He said 47 road projects are scheduled for completion in 2020. He said the second Niger Bridge are scheduled also to pace up work. Completion of 13 housing estates, national housing project, commissioning of the Lagos, Kano, Meduguri, and Enugu International Airport, agricultural rural mechanization scheme for 700 local government. It goes on and on and on. And he's talking also about the rail lines from Lagos to Warri rail line, the commencement of the Ibadan, Abuja, and Kano Kaduna rail lines, commencement of the Mambila power project by the first half of 2020. These are some of the things that he said. As a Nigerian, I mean, apart from being a party leader, what message does this kind of promise bring to your heart?
Without a doubt, we would like to see all of these things done because, of course, it will alleviate the conditions of the average Nigerians, whichever way it is. We have to take him by his word, because the reputation that Mr. President has is a man of integrity. So if he puts his word behind this, saying that by 2020 it'll be delivered, with 2020, we see his year is around the corner, 2021 is around the corner. So it's for us to get to 2020, 2021 and see whether he delivers on them. And if he delivers on them, then it means that he's been able to deliver to the Nigerian public, who voted him in.
Because there are two things. I'm going to strengthen the electoral process. A lot of people like me who have been following the issues of election in Nigeria will think one way to do that is to sign the Electoral Act amendment. When he says that I'm going to complete some project, one way to look at it is to make sure that it follows through and make sure that these things are actually delivered. Those two pillars that the president stood on today in that message, does it bring hope to Nigerians?
Like I said, it should bring hope to Nigerians. But again, the truth of the matter is, one of the things, the promises that were made in 2015 was that they were going to deal with security. We haven't seen the results there. In terms of security in Nigeria, we haven't seen that. So that's a promise that he made.
All right, let's take a breather. But don't forget that you can get your views on the program on what we're discussing. Take a look at the mechanisms and the platforms where you can get that done. On Twitter, these are the handles with which you can tweet at us. #PoliticsToday at CTV Politics and at Shewaki. You can get those views on. And you can also send email to us. It's politicstoday@channelstv.com. Get those messages. We'll be right back after this break. And when we come back, we'll take some of your messages. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Emmanuel Dania, the national chairman of ANN, has been speaking to us on the program tonight. And we are dissecting and talking about President Muhammadu Buhari's New Year message. Don't forget, we asked you to get your views on, and we shared some of them. And this is some of the handles in which you can send. All right, some of these tweets are coming. The one from, there you go, Prince Olusegun Olaloye, there for you. The president is not planning any third-term agenda. Someone who is will not be thinking of third term. That's from Prince Olusegun. Yeah, that's another one from Julius Ojo. And also, there is a tweet from ST Akinsusi. It says, no human is incorruptible. The statement that PNB is incorruptible is sycophantic. Well, keep them coming. We'll take some more after these, some of these conversations we're having. Some of the emails also are coming in, and we'll take some more. So let's get back to the conversation with Mr. Dania. A lot of the issues, the governor of Nasarawa mentioned, and he defended the reasons why Nigeria needs to borrow. There are those who are of the view that we are borrowing far too much. The government said, look, our borrowing to GDP ratio is still very okay. What is your stand on that? If you look at some of the projects here, especially the railway projects here, which are primarily being run and funded with money being borrowed, do you think some of these things are justified?
I don't think so. I don't think they're justified at all. One of the key things about borrowing you must be able to, as a government, have a way where you can generate revenue and you can increase revenue from within to be able to balance that. And I think that the government should sort of focus on that in internal generation of revenue. It's important that that is where they put the focus on and grow that immensely. The question you ask yourself is, in all of this, how many jobs are they creating? Are you creating jobs? Are you creating an enabling environment for businesses to grow in the economy? You know, how many businesses would say that we are growing every year or every quarter? What are the numbers?
So apologies, Mr. Daniel. If you look at 47 road projects scheduled for completion in 2020,
yes.
the second Niger Bridge, yes. You look at the commission of the Lagos-Ibadan and Itape-Warri rail line, the commencement of the the Ibadan, Abuja, and Kano-Kaduna rail lines. Could all of these have been done without borrowing?
Well, that's a different story entirely. I mean, I do agree to an extent that there's some level of borrowing to take place. But the question is to what extent in which and the projects that you want to be able to do. What are these borrowings? What will they do? What will they achieve at the end of the day? What you're trying to do? How is it going to bring or increase internal revenue within the country? How is it increasing? Of course, it's increasing jobs. But the truth of the matter is we need to begin to focus and ask ourselves in details that in terms of, are we getting value for what we're borrowing?
So you are saying these projects that are listed, if we can put some of those projects on so that our viewers can see them again, are you saying that these projects are not pivotal to encouraging trade and investment in the country? Is that what you're saying?
Not all of them. I'm not saying that, not all of them.
So is the Buhari government getting his act right in terms of the purpose and the right things to be done?
The purpose, yes. The right thing to be done is what is the issue. That's what is missing.
So they are not on the right trajectory. That's what you're saying?
Yes. The purpose, yes. But the right thing to be done is where the issue is. That's where the challenge is.
What would you suggest they should have done, differently?
I think the government has to look really deep in precisely what is happening in Nigeria. And I think in creating the ability for you to be able to borrow funds is for you to see that you can establish quite a lot in terms of infrastructures that will create businesses. Now, one of the key focuses we would have thought that in the area of power, I think the government should have paid more attention to creating that, to put in more energy in that field. We know, for instance, that even the railways that have already been the ones that have been completed, you know, how much of this are we getting from it? What value are we getting from there at the end of the day? You know, how are we running it to be able to generate the incomes that we're running at the moment? I think that what they're doing, that's why I said to you partly, yes, there's certain projects that are being done that I believe that they should be, but there are other areas that I think that they should be focusing on and they're not focusing on. And I think internal generation of funds should be much more of a focus for this government than anything else, because we have to be able to find a way of paying back these debts.
There's a huge revenue gap.
There's a huge revenue gap, and we have to be able to find a way to close that gap in paying off this. And I think that should be the focus in this, because who inherits that at the end of the day?
Your party fed a presidential candidate in 2019. And some of the things that you said we're going to do is how to empower Nigerians. You think that poverty is very inimical to the growth in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
And one of the messages of the presidential candidate of the PDP is that he thinks that poverty is driving insecurity. In that sense, a lot of people also believe that infrastructure development is also very important for growth. Now, in all of this, you are caught between human development, infrastructure development. Where do you think you can stand in that sense? You spend a lot of money on human development, but you may not get it right immediately. You spend a lot of money on infrastructure, it might aid trade. You might get more money. In that sense, and you don't have a lot of money. Is that a quagmire that you think that can easily be overcome?
Yeah, but I think what creates a problem for both of them is security.
So for you, security is fundamental.
Security is fundamental.
Is this government tackling insecurity the way it should be done?
I don't think so.
What should they have done differently?
But I think they could do a lot better than what they're doing at the moment.
In the Northeast, for example, do you think we're winning the war?
How do you begin to measure how you're winning which war? The kind of war that we're engaging is different from the kind of wars where two nations engage themselves. You know, in terms of terrorism, we haven't seen. We constantly hear that people have been killed and maimed, you know, across the Northeast. So how do you measure that? We hear that our soldiers on the field, you know, are constantly being killed. How do you measure that in terms of impact? In terms of Nigeria as a nation across the world, you know, there's insecurity everywhere. So how do you measure that in terms of what we're fighting? So the question is, if you're creating an enabling environment for trade, you know, you must be sure that the economy itself, there's security to enable trade, to enable investors come in.
Do you have confidence in the Buhari-led government that it can deliver to Nigerians on their hopes and aspirations? We have just stepped into a decade, another decade. We've stepped into a brand new year. What should Nigerians be expecting from this government?
I tell you the struggle. There was something you mentioned earlier, Seun, and that was in the speech where he mentioned that he wanted to strengthen the electoral process in Nigeria. The first thing, it is not by word of mouth. The first thing you should do is to assent the Electoral Act bill. That's the first thing. We should be hearing him say that this is what I want to do. Anyone who does not do that, you don't mean well for that process. So this is the challenge that I have. You know, when you say you want to do something, you understand, it's simple. It's the rule of law. Follow through with the process. That's what we're saying. Go through with the process. It's the law.
All right. I think we should close the program tonight with some of the messages that we're getting right on Twitter. Let's show you some of them before we close the program. Some of the messages, Chuku Godwin, for example, is saying, Mr. Daniel is hitting the nail on the wall. He says, Ojuola Ademola is saying that I really hope it's done as said. God bless Channels Television. God bless Nigeria. Truth Alone says this government is never sincere with its promises. And Okpara J says that we are living in a country where the rule of law works for some and doesn't work for others.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel, for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, don't forget, it's the first show of the year 2020. You can catch all of the shows that we did in the past years. Of course, in 2019, there's some interesting shows that we did. But just go on our YouTube page, and yes, you can see there. It's Channels TV Web. And what you can do is to subscribe on Channels Web, and you will get a lot on any of the shows that are being shown on Channels Television. Of course, easily, we stack those videos for you to easily get around them. That's our show for tonight. Happy New Year to you. It's a time to go and celebrate with your family members this evening. Thanks so much, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel, for coming on.
Thank you again.
From all of us here at Channels Television's headquarters in Lagos, that's our show for tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Seun Kimale. Bye for now.